Okay, so we're going to get started. So thrilled to have you. We might have some more jump on. They're jumping on right now. Happy Monday. I was just reading in my book, High Performance Habits, Brendan Burchard. Many of y'all know that I've gone through his coaching, incredible. And I think I read this. This is one of those books that you can just pull a chapter and read it again. One thing that he said, you might have seen me just post it, is what we will attempt is constrained only by our beliefs. And I believe that so much. I was actually listening to a podcast this morning whenever I was getting ready, and it was literally all in regards to the thought model that I introduced you to last year, probably 2 years ago. Learned it through Bob Heilig in the beginning, and now Kristen Boss, my current coach, who is phenomenal. I feel like I've been stretched more than anything over just the last 2 months. So I'm like, oh my goodness, what did the next 4 look like? But she has really honed in on the skill of teaching me how to use this thought model, because it literally all lies in our beliefs. 2.5 years ago, whenever I started my own counseling for myself and going through coaching, it kind of started my journey of receiving coaching. It was because I knew that there were some beliefs that were in my subconscious that I needed to uncover, because I knew I was hitting a ceiling and couldn't figure out why I was hitting it. So I love this quote that he uses, because I wholeheartedly believe that that is true. And so as we get started today, I just want us to think about a couple of things. Andy Warhol, some of y'all might have read his book. I'm trying to think of the name of it. It has the word art in it. I don't remember. I will find it for you guys and put it into the thread. But one thing that he says is, don't think about making art, just get it done. Let everyone else decide if it's good or bad, whether they love it or hate it. While they are deciding, make even more art. This is why I love that quote, is because anything that we have been called to do, anything that gets our heart pumping and that is something that we're really passionate about, we need to do that for an audience of one. And we need to continually be working on our art, and what that is, and producing that. And not worrying about what other people think about it. If they love it or if they hate it, we just need to do the work, decide that we're going to do it, and keep making it. And I think that like really touches home for me. Many of you have heard me say this, but like stepping into this industry and into this business was way different from anything that I was doing. But in my past, I was a ghostwriter. I write content. I do blogs. I've done devotional books, like all that. That's kind of my space. I'm a deep thinker, and sometimes I can't speak out my words, but I write out those thoughts. And I love this quote, because I'm going to keep doing what I do. And a lot of times we get messy when it comes to social media, because we think that if people aren't liking it, loving it, commenting on it, it means it's not good work, or it means that we don't have value, or it means that we're not hitting the mark. And I've had to come to learn, especially over the past year, I'm going to keep doing what I do. I'm going to keep doing what makes my heart beat, what makes me feel like I'm close to the Lord, what makes me feel like that I'm following in the calling that He's called me to do. And I have to put social media to the side if I'm not getting likes, loves, comments, all of those good things. And so, because it will come. And the big thing for me is that even if people don't do those things, if I were to make the decision and decide that because people weren't acknowledging what I'm doing in life, that would mean I'm not going to do anymore, I would be silenced fully and completely. And when we're silenced, we're not fulfilled. We're not satisfied. We don't feel like we have purpose. And so that would have literally killed everything that God's calling me to do. I think the other thing about whenever we decide just to do the art and keep making the art, like he said in that quote, is that where we are and where we're going is itself a journey. And so I've learned a lot of stuff in the work that I do, in the counseling I do, in the coaching I do, in the writing that I do, in the business of developing leaders that I do. In all of it, I haven't perfected anything, and I've learned through all of it. And if anyone were to decide if I were good or bad, I wouldn't have had that journey, right? And so I think that anything that you're doing today and this week that you choose, you decide if it's worth. Don't allow other people to make those decisions for you. So do that no matter what. Increase your productivity without being concerned about what others are doing, and get super focused on core key skills that you need to perfect your business, to perfect what God's calling you to do, to perfect impacting people. How can you speak to them in a way that they will listen? So as we get started this morning, as you know, I love self-awareness. I love self-evaluation. Yes, I think if you're ever with me, you know I'm going to ask the questions because I want you to start thinking, and I want you to get to a place where it is very natural and automatic for you to ask your own questions to yourself and to work through those things. So here's a couple of questions for you. Do you ever feel overwhelmed? Yes. And if so, what areas of your life feels overwhelming? Just take a minute to think about that. Maybe write down a couple of things that you can go back to. Do you feel you're overly busy, yet you're not moving the needle forward in the areas that are your priority in life? Amen. Like at the end of the day, you're like, I am so busy. Or if you run into someone at the coffee shop and they're like, how are you? You're like, I'm just so busy. But then at the end of the day, you're like, what did I do? Or at the end of your week, there's specific blocks of things that I have put in my life to say, to move my needle, these things have to be done. And I can get to a Friday and be like, I didn't do any of the stuff that I thought. I was so busy this week. What did I do? So do you feel that way? Are you just maintaining in your days, or are you thriving? Are you happy? Do you love what you're doing on a daily basis? Do you think that there's a better way, or do you believe that the way that you're doing your business today is the way? And if you believe the way that you're doing your business today is the way, and you're not happy, or you feel burned out, do you believe that that's just the nature of this business? I want you to really think about that. The way that you're doing things today, do you believe that it's the way? Or are you open to other ways? But if you believe this is how it has to be for me to get to the level that I desire to be, that I chose to be, and not everyone wants to be diamond, and that's beautiful. But whatever level that is for you, but in that space of saying, this is how it goes, this is how it works. Are you happy? Are you burned out? And do you believe that that's the nature of this business? Because I'm here to say that is false. That's a false belief, and that's a myth. And then lastly, I'm going to ask you this. When you are doing your IPAs, do you often hear yourself in your mind saying, as you talk to yourself, I can't seem to get my IPAs done in the time that I allotted? Or I have my 3 priorities today. You hear me talk about that a lot. What are your top 3 priorities? Get those things done. I have those 3 priorities, but I never get them done. Just like what I was saying, by the Friday, I'm like, what just happened to the 4 days right before today? And why am I running really fast to hit my own personal deadlines? Because I didn't manage it well on these last 4 days. Or are you saying things like, I can't seem to focus, I'm so freaking distracted? Now, 2020, I feel like that was some of your mottos. I'm so distracted, I can't seem to focus. And that was a legit reason. But we're in 2021 now. So even if you're still homeschooling, even if everyone is still at home, everyone's working remotely, you've had 12 months to figure that out. So for us to still say, I can't seem to focus, I'm so distracted, means that there might be a chance that you need to do things differently, or you need to seek help or advice or adjustment, or really say it's time for me to quit believing something that is false. Because in the end, it's your choice and it's your decision to be distracted or not, to be focused or not, to hit your priorities every day and be able to be productive the way that you desire to be or not. So I think one of the worst feelings in the world is to be incredibly busy, but feel like that you're making no progress. And so that's what I want us to talk about today is this productivity. What does it look like to be productive, to move that needle forward, to be able to set those goals and say, I am accomplishing those. The most successful leaders have a very deliberate approach in planning their days. And I have worked on this. I'm not excellent at it yet. It's something I have worked on for 2 years now. And in the last 6 months of those 2 years, went to the guy for personal coaching in this area because I want high performance. I want to be productive. I want to do a lot in a small amount of time because that time is focused, it's deliberate, and it's intentional. And I believe that we all have the ability to learn that if we want to. So those people, they approach their days planned. Their days are planned, and yes, things can happen, but having a plan gets you further ahead than having nothing, having a distraction and having to come back. I mean, usually you waste your rest of your day if you're distracted or something in life happens that you've got to go pick up a kid or your husband's car broke or something like that. They're setting goals and they're getting through those priorities. You would hear them saying, and this is where I want to get, is I'm really good at setting productive goals, reaching them. I'm good at knowing my top 3 priorities every single day and achieving those by the end of the day. I'm really good with being effective and efficient in a very small amount of time. This morning, I was listening to a coaching podcast, and they were talking about this specific person only works 3 days a week, which that was a goal for her. She didn't do it overnight. She got to a place where she could then work 3 hours, 3 days. But in those 3 days, she does not work a full 8 hours because she has learned how to be very efficient and effective in the amount of time that she has. She blocks time for creativity. She blocks time for advertising and getting information out. And then obviously she blocks time for clients and coaching and things like that. So it's very interesting when you start doing kind of like I have, which I think many of you have, of kind of researching the people that have been successful in our industry as entrepreneurs. If you watch them, they have set habits and they've made a choice and a decision to set habits in their life that will allow them to do the work and be productive and move the needle so that at the end of a quarter, at the end of a year, at the end of 3 years, they are where they believed that they should be and wanted to be. And it was all based on their beliefs and their thoughts and what they were thinking and choosing whenever a thought does not serve you and a thought is not even true. It's something that you put in your mind. It's your perspective. It's your view that is not serving you well and adjusting that. So let's talk a little bit about how productive people get through their days with that high performance. And it's these deliberate habits. Your productivity basics, okay? These are them. Goals plus energy plus focus. Goals plus energy plus focus. Last week we talked about energy. So if you weren't with us, maybe you can go back and watch one of those recordings, but we talked about that. The fundamentals of becoming more productive is just that. Setting goals, which some of you right now are going to be like, I don't set goals. I don't like setting goals. It makes me feel like I'm a failure. But if you desire to hit any level or make a certain amount of money every month, then you have to set the goal to even do it. You can't just go through life and just say, well, if it happens, great. You have to set a goal and then reach for that goal, not bring the goal down, but you move towards the goal. So that is the first thing. Maintaining energy, which we talked about last week, is such a big one, and focus. Without those three, you're pretty dead in the water in this industry. You're pretty dead every day of doing your IPAs, of not having those three pieces. So let's just talk a little bit about goals. So for goals, the big thing about that is that they need to be clear and they need to be challenging. And I would also say they need to be simple, like simple goals and tasks. Don't overcomplicate, don't reinvent the wheel, but make them clear and make them challenging so that you are growing, so that you're getting out of the box, so that you're getting a little bit uncomfortable in that space. Set those deadlines. I have my deadlines. I do so much better. Whenever I have deadlines that are just with Melissa, I promise they get pushed away. But whenever I have deadlines that I'm accountable to someone else, those deadlines are going to be hit. If I have my virtual assistant and she knows that I'm supposed to have something, believe me, she will get my information. If I have a coaching group and I have materials that need to be ready for them, they're going to get those materials. If I have a deadline on work or content that I'm writing for someone, those things get done. Whenever I came into this industry and I was my own boss, it looked different because I was my boss and I always pushed my deadlines. So I had to learn how to be accountable as a leader, as a representative of a health and happiness company. I had to set challenges for myself and set goals for myself to be able to hit those deadlines. So those goals, that is your roadmap. Every single day, if you have the goals of this is where I am and this is where I want to be, and I see the vision and then I move backwards, this is what I have to do every single day to hit that goal, that's your roadmap. Even if you get distracted, even if things come up, even if a phone call comes in your hour that you have, you can get off and get back on the roadmap and get back to where you need to be. Those goals inspire people. So for many of us, whenever we say things like, I don't want to set goals, or it always makes me feel like I failed. If you start realizing it's all about you, everything, I don't want to do this because I'm bad, I fail. But if you have goals that you're stretching yourself, you're challenging yourself, you're pushing yourself, and you share those goals, you share your journey, it only inspires. It's not about you. I don't care if it's this business, ministry, where you work, you weren't put on the earth and created beautifully and wonderfully as you are just for you to go, I am so beautiful and wonderful. No, you were created to impact and inspire others. So for anyone that's like, I'm not a goal setter because I can't, for these reasons, I would say you're pretty self-centered. And in this business, we do this business to serve. And serving is not serving ourselves, it's serving someone else. It's looking out and saying, how can I be helpful? If I were to set goals, would that be helpful for someone else? If I were not a goal setter and I learned to become a goal setter, and because of that, I grew and I accomplished things I never thought I could, what could I have learned that now I can teach someone else? So then you come to a place that you realize everything you're doing is not for you, it's for someone else. You are making a roadmap for them. You are showing them the way and saying, come along with. It changes your perspective of why you even do what you do. The second thing is that whole energy piece, and the energy determines your productivity. So go back and look at that information, but it's whenever we talk energy, we're talking mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. We're talking food, sleep, supplementation, water, exercise. it's all huge enhancers. If you're like, I am drained every day, I say I'm with the Health and Happiness Company, I really am, but I'm exhausted. Can't figure out why I'm exhausted. I'm taking all the supplements. Well, did you forget some of the other pieces? How are you fueling your body? Are you taking all the supplements but eating really crappy food that's not even real food? That's probably going to slow you down. So if you really, really want energy, eat plant-based foods, eat organic foods, eat fruits and vegetables, get those things into your body. Remove inflammatory foods. Oh my goodness, you talking about losing energy? Inflame your body. Amen. Like get rid of the inflammation through your foods, through your supplementation. So drinking water so many times for energy, we feel very zapped. If you will just go ding, 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 I'm feeling really zapped right now. When was the last time I drank any water? Am I hydrated? You will down 20 ounces of water in just a very short couple of minutes, you will see your energy level change. So energy and those energy enhancers are huge. It comes from positive emotions. It comes from thoughts that serve you, that not the ones that beat you down. Happier people are more productive people. So whenever you're like, they're so successful and they look happy, the happiness didn't come after the success. The happiness, the success came because of the happiness. So many people think, well, when I get there, I promise you I'll have an incredible attitude, Melissa. I will be so, well, no, like you have to be that today for that to happen tomorrow. Like you have to work on what you have today and change those things today. Those people are the most productive, happy people. Studies have shown that happier people are not only more productive, but they have a higher score in any evaluation of work. They're more dependable. They make more money. They're more creative. Studies have been shown across the board in students, colleges, and then following them for the next 20 years and where they are. Those people are going to be your most productive. So I would say, man, I don't have the energy I should. I'm listening to what she's saying. I'm not as productive, pretty grumpy most of the days. Don't trust anyone. I really have a negative bent to me. I would say, let's work on your thought model, right? Let's adjust that and change that. So you have heard before to smile and you'll get more done. Have you ever heard that? Smile and you'll get more done. I know for me, if I just smile, it changes my attitude, my behavior, my posture, my perspective. Everything changes whenever you smile. And it really does ring true of seeing people with joy and excitement. And I think that the interesting thing is that another study that was done by Brendan was showing that people, I loved this, that people that watch a comedy clip or something funny that makes them laugh and it brings joy or happiness in some way, they have a higher amount of productivity in that work day. And guess what it made me think about? It made me think about our IPAs. You know, whenever you do Power 30 with us, we're following a rhythm of the 3, 6, 9, and 12. Those first 3 minutes are on meditation or prayer or inspiration. You can watch a video, you can listen to a portion of a podcast, you can listen to music that makes you happy and joyful, but it literally sets your posture for your next 27 minutes of being the most productive that you can be. So knowing that and knowing that studies prove that, what can you do in your day to keep high productivity? For me, one of the crazy things that I do, especially on Mondays, because most Mondays are a really big coaching day for me. I'm being coached, I am coaching, I do one-on-ones, like a lot of stuff happens for me on Mondays. So for me to keep up my productivity, to enhance my energy, to be able to have my focus, and be productive, I will do like a 5-minute little dance thing. I love choreography. I love dance. So I will just get up and move for 5 minutes and change it. Or you've always heard me talk. I literally do the block of my house and just get something in me that makes me happy and joyful. The last thing is focus. And focus is probably one of the hardest things to do today in our world with social media, with having the internet at our fingertips with all the sound bites that are coming in within seconds of each other. We are plummeted. Whenever you think of overwhelmed, my question to you would be, when do you have silence in your day? When do you go into your bathroom or into your closet to get rid of away from it? When do you play hide and seek with your kids and you don't ever come out of your hiding place, right? Like, when do you have silence? Because you've got to have that peace to be able to even know who you are, what you want to do, what is your next right thing. That's where creativity comes. So it is hard to do today. We're receiving way too much. And if you don't have focus, it can kill any deliberate decisions or creativity that you need to have for your business and for your future. So creating those habits is such a huge piece. So this is what I would tell you with focus is, don't open emails. Now, some of you guys don't look at emails. I still look at emails. I have a lot of information that comes through emails, but I'm learning that a lot of people don't ever look at their emails. They didn't use their emails for purposes maybe of business or receiving important information or having deadlines or, things like that, communicating with people. It might be Messenger for you. It might be your DMs of Instagram. I'd say no emails, no social media, no looking at messages first thing in the morning. You're going to kill your focus. You're going to be so distracted that you can't get anything else done. In fact, if you do that, I promise you, I will guarantee you something will trigger. It'll be something from a person, from a client, from a person that for whatever reason, they trigger you in a negative way, and you're done. You're done for the day. All you can think about is that conversation that you just read or the voice clip that you just listened to. No looking, email, social media, no scrolling, no messages. You will kill your own personal success. Amen. Please tell me, everybody raise your hands. I'm going to set that habit starting today. So if anything, make that your reward. I don't look at any of that information until now. I get up pretty early in the morning. So y'all might see me messaging y'all in the mornings and you're like, Melissa, you don't have boundaries. Well, no, I actually do. I've just been up 4 hours before you have probably. So like do that as I've done my stuff. I've done my stuff and gotten myself focused and know what my priorities are. And then as a reward, go scroll for 15 minutes, go check your emails and answer them. But set your boundaries. You might do it once in the morning, once around lunchtime, and once in the evening as you're saying goodbye or good night to that information. Now, a lot of us work evenings, but this is what I would tell you is crunch that time into 15 to 20 minutes. Don't take an hour. You're zapping every bit of energy or replenishing your body. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying scrunch it into space, but don't use that entire time just to be doing emails and messages. If you're going to be working in the evenings, also use it for some of your creativity, some of your IPAs and things like that. So that's the big thing. I would say for focus, a couple of things that you need to do is, get rid of the distractions, which is really hard. You're like, how do I get rid of my kids? Like, where do I put them? But it could be the kids, it could be phone calls, it could be information overload. I definitely do a do not disturb on my phone if I have a time blocked period where I'm doing something very specific that if I get distracted, it will knock me off the rail. So do those things. Don't multitask. Multitasking actually is one of your highest distractions. And we think, oh, it's good. Dr. Caroline Leaf, many of y'all have read her book. She says you're literally bringing brain damage when you multitask. Your brain is not created for that. Your brain is created to focus, to meditate, to have silence, to have retreats, to step away. And our world has gotten us to where the enemy just abuses all of that. And that's how we lose ourselves. That's how we go into depression. That's how we start comparing. That's how we're not content anymore. So you set healthy boundaries for yourself. And then the last thing I'd say is really go back into that time blocking. It's so critical. Even if you have 1 hour or 15 minutes, but time block what you're going to do in those periods of time. And then the last thing is just make sure that you are really have positive people around you, encouraging people around you, accountability partners around you. I would say share with them where your weaknesses are or where the areas are that you want to work. I would share with them what your goals are and ask them to keep you accountable and say that you will love them when they're accountable and it ticks you off. Go ahead and tell them that you're going to love them through that process and that they have the right to encourage you in that way. And set those things up so that you have boundaries. I hope that that was helpful. I'm so excited for this week. Guys, one thing that I didn't get to talk about because we're right at 12:01. I always think I don't have enough material. And then I'm like, okay, that's 3 more Power 30s. But one thing is, I think we have 12 days left. And so I'll probably do a live this afternoon. I want to share with you some things that you can do with your 12 days that are left with productivity, energy, getting rid of distractions, and getting really focused on what your goals are. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.